Greetings. We are here again with Miss Jana Mason and Jess and I. Welcome to
Hello.
Soul Fire Ascension with Raven and Jessamy. We're going to play Jana's the little video that we made for her so we can introduce you. It's a very short bio. Her bio is way more extensive, but this just gives you a little bit of information about Jana.
This week's Soul Fire Ascension welcomes Jana Mason, the founder of Heron Brook Haven, the only non-profit natural earth-based hospital in the U.S. Join us as we discuss how HBH focuses on wellness, well-being, and oneness, rather than disease, labels, and victimization. Join us Friday, March 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jana, for being here. And we'd like to thank our audience as well. We encourage audience participation. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And we hope to answer all your questions or reply to your comments as well. So, welcome. Jana, can you tell us a little bit about Heron Brook?
Oh, that's always an interesting question because it's something that's very dear to my heart. Many years ago, I had an awakening, I guess you would say, and Spirit started speaking to me again, and I felt like my world was going crazy. So many things coming at me. And so, as a result of my healing journey, um, I felt called to create a space where people could um, know about this stuff and have a way to heal. And there isn't a lot of that in my area, or there wasn't at the time. There was a little bit. Um, So it came about that way. And then several years later, we decided to apply to be a nonprofit. And there's a lot of people who do similar work and things like we all do. Um, However, when we applied for a nonprofit, we decided to push the envelope a little bit, which is something I can tend to do sometimes. And we applied as a hospital.
Nice.
Instead of just a general um, nonprofit or a church or something like that. And we got it. So we applied as a natural earth-based hospital.
That is awesome.
We
So
received our
That is
nonprofit
amazing.
status. And as far as I know, we're still the only one that has done that. But part of that was to sort of help bridge that gap between where we are and I guess I can say where we need to be to bring back in all those old teachings and ways that are so vital and valid to where we're meant to go.
absolutely. So what kind of things do you offer in this hospital?
Um, we like to work with people on an individual basis. Some of the things that we tend to work with on people, we all have a lot of deep seated stuff. There's a lot of deep core issues. So we work one-on-one with people. We do offer workshops and classes sometimes. We offer sound healings. We have something, I really want to talk about it, but I can't because we haven't released it yet. We're going to release it this weekend. So I'm very blessed to have met the people that I have along my journey, to have the training that I have for the way that spirit works with me, just all of those pieces that have empowered me and also empowered me, which is what I try to help people do, to be powered within themselves. It tends to be a lot more women.
Mhm.
Some men do come.
Mhm.
Um, we used to do sweat lodges, which was a really big part of my own healing journey. However, when COVID hit, we couldn't do the lodges anymore, and we were guided to take the lodge down. And I knew when we were doing that it wasn't going back up. So it was a whole ceremonial thing that we did to release the lodge and thank it for all that it offered us. We have a lot of people that ask if we will be doing that again, and I continually say no, the guidance isn't there. If it comes through at some point to start it back up, we might. But I do. I call it transitional therapy. We all have times in our life when we're going through changes or
Mhm.
difficulties, or all of a sudden the past hits us. It's a transition. Many times people can get stuck in that. Um, so the transitional therapy is a combination of spiritual and holistic counseling along with ceremony, whatever spirit guides, whatever comes through that they might need to help them through their process. We have a couple of years ago, we built what we call the Earth Chamber, which is a place outside here that's kind of built into the ground a little bit, but it's also open to the surrounding area here, where we do a lot of our healing sessions, counseling. I do spiritual readings. I have a lot of different types of healing sessions that I can call on to work with people. We also grow all our own herbs, or most of our own herbs here, organically. We have honeybees, and there's some. I'll give you a little tidbit. The big release that's coming this weekend has to do with the honeybees and some therapy that we can offer with them. It's a special little thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Because, I was telling Jess right before the show started, I said, I've got to ask her about the honeybees because I really want to do honeybees. And I was like, I have to ask. And I read on your page that you have special hives, special types of hives.
Most people have what's called a Langstroth hive, which are the
Yeah.
ones that are boxes like stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Ours is a little bit more what might be considered a top bar hive. There's a few different varieties, but ours is called a Layens hive. And it's kind of set up a bit more like a log. The frames are longer and deeper, so the honeybees have more room to do what they need to do. And when you pull the frames out, I love it because they're longer and deeper, so you can actually see the spiral that they create on the comb with the eggs, and it's amazing.
Oh, wow.
And I will tell you, years ago, if you had ever asked me if I would have honeybees, it was never on my radar.
Right.
Never on my radar. A few years ago, because we have worked really hard around here to create a bunch of great ecosystems and spaces where nature can thrive,
Mhm.
um, a lot more bees started showing up. A lot more native bees started returning, which was wonderful. So I spent the first part of COVID just kind of wandering around my yard here and enjoying all the species that were coming back. And all of a sudden, the honeybees really started coming to us and coming to us. And I said to Tim, I said, I think we're supposed to have honeybees. And he kind of looked at me, he's like, I don't know about that. And I said, well, we'll put it out there and ask. So that's what we did. And he went for a ride. He has a place he likes to go to just kind of sit and contemplate. And a honeybee actually flew in the window, landed on the steering wheel of the car, and did her little dance for him and walked around and then flew out. And I was here at home and I was out on the front deck, and a little honeybee came and landed on the deck railing right in front of me and was kind of looking at me, and then she started doing her little dance and she looked at me again and then she flew off. So we compared notes and he came back and said, I guess we're getting honeybees. And They are amazing. They have touched my heart very deeply, but that's a big part of their medicine.
Mhm.
Actually, the vibrations and the hum and buzz of honeybees is connected to that the primordial hum, the sound of creation. So
Oh,
they carry a
wow.
lot of energies about the heart, about helping us face our fears. And so we do it as naturally as
Mhm.
possible, um, with the least amount of interference as possible. And that's one of the things we really like about our hives is they allow for that. And it's also easier on us as we get older. I don't want to be hefting boxes. And, the most I have to lift at any one time is one of the frames because of the way those hives are set up.
Right.
And actually, when we first got them, they helped me face one of my fears because things over my face had always been an issue. And I know what a lot of that is connected to from this life as well as others.
Mhm.
And so with COVID, where you had to wear a mask, poor Tim had to do all the running and whatever because I could not have a mask over my face.
Yeah.
And when we got the honeybees, we have the hoods with the veils in the front. So when you're working with them, um, and most of the time it's not an issue. We just kind of do that as a safety precaution. And
Mhm.
it's also because if you continually get stung and continually get stung, there is bee venom therapy, but people have actually had to give up their honeybees from being stung so much because it creates an allergy and a reaction that
Oh.
Yep.
can
Can
be actually very serious. If you get
imagine.
stung, it's stung, and it's for certain people.
Yeah.
Um, so even just that veil hanging in front of my face was a big deal, and I had to work my way through that to be able to work with the honeybees.
How
So they
not?
started working me right away.
Mhm.
Well, I think Jess had a question because we discussed it, and Jess
Yeah.
had a question about the honeybees too.
Yeah, well, it was kind of tied in with your herbs too. I wasn't sure if you grew herbs just for medicines or if you grew them so that you would attract more honeybees or if they would um, make better honey because certain flowers can flavor honey. Certain flowers can even what's the word I'm looking for, like dye it, make it turn different colors too. So I
Right.
wasn't sure if you planted things specifically um, to do something with the supply of honey, or if you're just kind of letting nature do it for you. Or
We made sure before we got the honeybees that we had what they required.
Mhm.
And actually, the first food for honeybees in the spring, they've already been out gathering pollen on the warm days that we've had from trees.
Oh, okay.
Trees are as important, if not more important, for honeybees than flowers. Their first food is actually like alder, maple, and willow.
Oh, okay.
So that's hugely important. And, like a lot of your tulips and daffodils and things like that, as beautiful as they are, they don't provide them any food
Right.
or anything like that. So we had a lot of what we needed here already. Part of one of the great blessings of the space that we live is
Mhm.
I'm surrounded by my farm and family land.
Right.
So there's over 400 acres here.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
That's
To my
awesome.
little 2.5 acres. But so they have plenty of woods, plenty of fields, and we have a lot of native plants here. We have a lot of herbs and things like that, and we have a lot of the different varieties of trees that they require. The propolis that they use in their hive for medicine, for sealing things off. It has so many properties. It's amazing
Mhm.
stuff.
Yep.
Actually comes from the conifers. So they take the
Oh,
resin from
okay.
the conifer trees and use that in the propolis.
That is
And
so.
that is one thing that science has not been able to create, and I hope they never can.
Right?
So, honey, it's important to have. A lot of people say, "Oh, honeybees," and we have to save the bees and this and that. It is very important. But if you
Mhm.
have everybody in your area going and getting a bunch of bees, and you don't have the right food for them,
Mhm.
that you're not doing them any favors. So it's really important to look into it and see what they need for food and plants. And many of the herbs are part of that. A lot of the Monarda's bee balm, goldenrod. And there's a lot of people, and it's, well, I have clover all over my lawn and I don't see any honeybees on it. Well, that's because the locust trees up on the hill are blooming and they know they're only out for a week or so. So they're going there
Right.
to get that.
Right. That's
Then
like
maybe when
prime rib
that
for
goes
them.
by, oh, well, there's the basswood blooming. So they're going to go to that while that's blooming. Maybe later in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
when a lot of the trees have gone by, then you'll see them on your clover. So it's learning about what they
Right.
like to eat and what they need.
Yeah.
And,
There's a lot more
people,
involved than I
Oh yeah.
realized.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's people who will, one of the things that they like about the Langstroth system is that's designed for honey production. And so, okay, so the locust trees are blooming. So, okay, this box is going to be full of locust honey. 90%, they're going to go to other stuff, but mostly it's locust honey. Like you were talking about, Jess, that there's certain flowers that can change color or flavor it or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, we don't worry about that. We just let them forage, do what they need to do, make their honey, and so it's wild honey, it's wildflower honey, or trees, whatever they
Okay.
mix and match, and they do and it's delicious. There's
I bet.
nothing like it.
I bet. There's something about a local honey that is just phenomenal because and you can tell regional differences even or I can I'm really sensitive and
Mhm.
I'm picky about my honey. um we've got a place like just to the west maybe 5 miles that I get a lot of my honey from.
Mhm.
My mom likes a place specifically up north about an hour, like it tastes different to her. So we all have our different our different places that we like it, but
Right.
it's when it comes down to the science of it. I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were like, "Well, it also depends on what is growing around there at the time, is how things are getting flavored, and that's what's popping out
Mhm.
to you." And
Right.
it
Well,
helps.
and it also goes into what they're being fed. There's a
Right,
lot
right.
of people who feed their bees sugar water.
Hmm.
Sugar is as bad for them as it is for us. I'm not
Right.
gonna, get into a lot because there's a lot of people that feel that they need feeding. But if you
Yeah.
have the right plants around and in your area, they'll go 3 miles, maybe five. Some people say, oh, they've been tracked going a lot further. That's sort of relative. Just make sure in your area that you have the right plants.
Hmm.
It depends on how much pollen there is. There's all these things that go into it, but they're no different than we are.
Hmm.
What you eat affects your body, goes into your body, and how you operate, how you feel, all of those things. So when the bees are fed sugar water, that goes into their honey, that goes into
Hmm.
their wax, that goes into their brood, that goes into it goes into your candles. It's part of the whole thing. So
Okay,
bees
so
take honey and give them honey. We don't give them sugar water.
Right.
okay,
Right.
so in the winter is when I hear now I've heard people giving them sugar water in the winter time to sustain them. So you're saying that's not a good thing to do.
Right. We just put another frame of honey in our hive and they're fine and they don't have
Oh,
to do
well, that
anything.
makes a whole lot
People
more
harvest the
Yeah.
honey, they process all the honey, blah, 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 save some frames to feed back to your bees.
Hmm.
It's just common sense for me, but I like to be as natural, organic, all of that as possible. We don't use
Exactly.
any pesticides. We don't, Tim and I don't have cell phones.
Hmm.
It's like, how do you live without a cell phone? Very easily. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes, you would think, oh, God, it would be great to have one now. But, there's actually been studies done with the cell towers and cell phones. They put a cell phone in a hive, and within 15 minutes, the bees were dying.
Oh,
Oh my
Seriously.
gosh.
wow.
So all
Yeah.
these waves, and everything that we're
Mm.
creating, it's it it's there's a lot that goes into everything, whether it's our health, whether it's the health of the trees, the health of the water, the air, all of it,
Hmm.
and that's part of what we try to do here as an earth-based hospital. Um, we're here on earth.
Yeah.
We're spiritual
Yeah.
beings. We have this beautiful light and this energy and all of this. While we're here, we're earth-based, and we
Yeah.
need to take care of our home.
Hmm.
So all of these things that we're doing affect so many things. That idea that the web is connected and you pull on one thing and it does.
Oh
It
yeah.
really does. And
Absolutely.
everybody talks about, sound healing and vibration and frequency is the healer of the future. That's the healer of the past. That's been around since the beginning of the time. And the sounds and the vibrations and the frequencies that we need are the hum and buzz of bees, the rustling of the wind through the trees, the sound of the river that runs by your home or down through your village. That's the
Birds.
sounds and the frequencies that we need. It has nothing to do with, um, well, I love that little meme about I don't care how long you can sit in a sweat lodge. I don't care how many days you can sit in meditation, blah, 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 blah. That's all fine and wonderful. That's great. So many people are having such a difficult time these days, and everybody's trying to find these ways to escape, to get out
Mm-hmm.
of my body, to do this, to go somewhere else, or to be somewhere else. And that's not saying that meditation, psychedelics, any of this, I'm not condemning any of it. The other thing is, what these times are calling for us is to learn how to be in our bodies, to learn how to be here on earth and be that spiritual being. The sounds and the vibrations of the natural world are amazing. 432 hertz, that's the hertz of the earth. My address is 432 Kelly Hill Road.
Oh my
432.
goodness.
Oh, that's so neat.
So,
Yeah, we need to reconnect to the Earth Mother, to the
Big
Earth. I
time.
mean,
and we do that through our bodies.
yes,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
grounding and being out in nature itself, and
Mm.
like you say, listening to the buzz of the bees, the chirping of the birds,
Yeah.
That's what gets me to stop
and
is the chirping of the birds. Like
yeah,
as soon as I walk out, because I live in the woods, and as soon
Mm,
as I walk out on my porch, I've got hundreds of birds greeting me, and that will get me to stop in my tracks instantly.
yep.
And I have to listen, and I pick through it, and there's messages in that.
Yes.
Um, just from spirit, because spirit isn't always going to whisper in your ear. Sometimes it's going to use what's there, what's easiest
Yes.
to
yeah,
get to.
Learning to listen and commune. I like that word
Yep.
commune, where we can
Yep.
commune with the
Commune.
natural world. It's not just about
yes,
being in it or going to take a hike or we're going camping this weekend. We can really connect. And another piece of these times is about healing that divine feminine, the feminine principles,
Hmm.
um,
yes,
which is hard. It can be so hard. Trust me, I know. Been there, done that. Sometimes I
yep,
still have things I need to work on.
yes,
And unless we're really willing to step into those feminine principles and understand what those really are, um, these changes and shifts can take a lot longer.
Hmm.
It's nobody really wants to feel and nobody really wants to be in their body because, oh God, we hold so much in there. Our blood and our bones carry memories from generations, and it's actually amazing and mind-boggling when you really delve into it and think about it. But the more we can do to heal these energies and have these conversations and do the real work that we're here to do, um, the better it makes it for everybody.
yeah.
And
I
by
agree.
everybody, I mean the bees and the trees and us.
Yeah.
It's not just about us humans. This is a whole cosmic
Yeah.
shift,
Yep. We are
Well, we're a
so.
whole ecosystem.
a whole universal system.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yep.
yes,
Yep. And there's
absolutely.
so many layers and dimensions to it, and I've been delving into like the quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and then I realized what it's so vibration based. That's the whole basis of it is all movement and vibration, and sound has everything to do with it.
Mhm.
Um, sound is light is faster, but sound is what sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets into your body, and then it alters the water in your body,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, the heart, your blood, the bones, like everything will
Yep.
transmute with whatever vibration and sound you listen to. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine being able to sit in a hive of bees. I've never seen bees in that quantity.
Oh,
My sister goes into
well, then
anaphylactic.
you need to come to Heron Brook Haven because I
I
can
would
help you
love
do
to.
that.
I would love to. My
Wouldn't
little
that be
sister,
awesome? I would
yeah,
love it.
I
Yes.
was
Well,
I
That's
wanted to
actually our
for
big
years.
release. It's a little hut that we've built that's a bed that's above the hives that you can lay on and you get the vibration, the smell, the sound, the aroma of the honeybees. It's called a bee bed. People advertise it as sleeping with the bees. Um,
I'm sold.
and it has so many health benefits. So it's amazing. So we're
Mhm.
very excited, very excited.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the weather to turn so I can go out there and get in it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it. It is
absolutely.
great. That is great. Yeah, my little sister is terribly, terribly allergic to bees. Like one sting and she goes into anaphylaxis. So I spent most of my time, like when she would take off running, I'd have to take off running after her. And then my son is terrified of bees. So I don't ever get to sit and just be with bees when I want to. I love bees. I don't like yellow jackets. Like those are wasps. They're another story. But like a bumblebee or a honeybee that will sit with you and just and hang out with you is, I think that is as special as a butterfly. Like everybody's like, "Oh, butterflies are
Oh,
beautiful." There's something about a bee that when it sits on you that it's a blessing. It's a bigger blessing
yeah.
almost.
So they
But
have connections to the feminine energies and the
mhm,
goddesses. Of course, a lot of people know about the Melissa and the Greek times with them and stuff. But there's
mhm,
been a lot of stuff that goes back way before that. You know, those times they're wonderful. And like I said, that hum is connected to that sound of creation.
mhm,
Um, so there's a lot of ways that we can work with the honeybees as well. And it's a matter of each person learning to follow what speaks to them.
mhm.
Is it a honeybee?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the honeybees have something to teach you. They've certainly taught us a lot,
Right.
and we're still learning. I've learned a lot from jaguar. I've learned a lot from hummingbird. I've learned a lot. One of my most beautiful, amazing experiences was with an old maple tree here on the farm. We can learn from these other beings that we share this beautiful planet with.
Mhm.
One of the things that we enjoy, Tim and my husband's name is Tim as well. But one of the things that we enjoy in the summertime, because he loves to garden and he grows, veggies and flowers. And one of the things that I've even videotaped it is the bees on a flower, or I don't know, it's just beautiful.
Mhm.
We enjoy that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch them. And we have some of the mason bees. We have some of the mud wasps. We have,
Mhm.
oh, I forget now. I have one picture that I absolutely love because it's of one of the poppies right out here in front of my house, and there's 5 different kinds of bees in that poppy all sharing it.
Oh, wow. I bet that's a beautiful
Yeah.
picture.
And a lot of people talk about competition and
Right.
this and that, and this will overtake that, or the honeybees are ruining the native bees, and then the native bees don't have enough to eat. And that could very well be if there isn't enough of the right food in that area for
Mhm.
the bees. And that was part of why we did the research that we did and looked into what was here, because we didn't want to lose the native bees and all of that we had already had back. But yet some of them also have great relationships, because like a honeybee cannot eat red clover unless a bumblebee visits it first, because the bumblebee's proboscis is bigger and it opens up the plant. Then the honeybee can get down in
Wow.
there and get more of it. So
Oh,
there's
That's so cool.
symbiotic relationships all over the earth, and we're part of that. So
Yeah.
the more we do to heal ourselves, and the more we can connect to these things and connect to the earth and these energies and vibrations to heal all of this that we have within us, because we all carry it.
Mhm.
Um, it really does. It's that ripple effect.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. I love how intimate nature gets. Just those little teeny tiny details and all the way down to bee size and smaller and um that like even when you stop to think about that just that little intimacy that can be the start of a healing process too.
Mhm.
Yes.
But when you really get down to the bare bones and start thinking from smallest critter up, and you you're able to kind of put yourself in a place when you're not really sure where your place in the universe is, type of thing. You're floating in between the modalities that you're trying to seek, and that there's something about the little things that nature can give you that will bring you back to center and then kind of push you forward.
That's what saved me.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Was all
absolutely.
those little things and those connections coming back. And that's how spirit likes to speak to us too, as well.
Yep, yep. I fully
So
understand that.
I did a year-long quest, and I've done it a few times
Mm-hmm.
where you take a whole weekend once a month, and that's what you do. You just sit there with
Mm-hmm.
nature and listen to what comes up for you, listen to what comes to you, and then you end it with a 4-day fire quest. And it's some of the most amazing work I've done to really have those connections. And I offered it for people a couple times. It's a big commitment.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a big commitment. But it's important to have those connections and to be aware of what comes our way. Like you got to
Mm-hmm.
slam on your brakes because a deer's running across the road in front of you. Well, yeah, try to
Right.
make that happen. You can't. Those are things that come our way to say, hey, wake up. So what is deer
Mhm.
about? What does deer say to you? You know what I mean? And it's really simple as well. It's not as complicated as we want to make it.
I agree with that. And I spent a lot of time working with Red Wolf at Medicine Springs, which is
Mhm.
about 200 acres of medicine.
Mm.
It is just forest land. And we had medicine wheels, we had star wheels, we had sweat
Yeah.
lodges, and
I love
being there,
that.
just the energy of being there, was just, it was a gift.
Hmm.
And then I would receive gifts as I left, because you didn't take anything from Medicine Springs. um,
Right.
but the hawks would leave me feathers outside the gate. And I mean, to somebody else, it just wouldn't mean much of anything. But to me, hawk is
Oh,
one of
yeah.
my totems. So, and one
Yep.
of my spirit animals that I have learned so much from. And to receive a hawk feather was a blessing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so nice back in those days where I was able to be at Medicine Springs and
Mm.
out in nature and doing the different lodges and the different wheels, the star wheels. I wish I had learned more about the star wheel before Red Wolf left, but that's okay. That may be in my future.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing too.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
several years ago, my medicine wheel, I was guided to change it. So the picture that has our logo over it, there's a stone circle. Um,
Mhm.
and that's what it turned into. And it's kind of interesting because it contains like a medicine wheel, but it also contains the like the Celtic 8 points, eight
Mhm.
Sabbats, and it's a counterclockwise spiral, which I didn't know when I was guided to build it. I just knew that it needed to be counterclockwise. There's a whole bunch of stories around the creation of that space, and it was nice because it was a reminder for me to step back and let myself be guided and let the space create itself rather than me imprinting what I thought it needed to be.
Right,
Um, because I was thinking, okay, yeah, we'll do ceremony and healing in this, and blah, blah, blah. This is going to be great. So I started to dig a fire pit in the center because you got to have a fire pit in the center, right? I
right,
started digging, and I literally got sick to my stomach. And I had to step back, and it's like, okay. So it's like, that's when it was like, all right, wait a minute, Jana, you've got to let this space let you know you're the facilitator here. This isn't about you. This is, or what you
Mm-hmm.
think it needs to be. Let it create itself. So I
right.
knew it was going to be this counterclockwise spiral. Well, it was several years later I found out the original labyrinth way back, before they were even called labyrinths, was a counterclockwise spiral. That's
Oh,
very connected to a lot of the goddess traditions and the earth-based traditions. Um, and then when the churches came in and took over, we all know history. That's when they were made into the labyrinths and the whole other thing. So, but I knew when I was doing it, I connected it to the fact that Mother Earth spins counterclockwise, and I knew that that space was very much connected to her, and the energies that she wants to bring through for us. It's very much about the divine feminine and those principles. So um, it's a very beautiful space. So I use that with clients. I use that for myself as
yeah.
well.
I know that when I am working with somebody and I'm trying to pull negative energy out, I will pull counterclockwise to pull it
Mhm.
out. And so, yeah, that makes so much sense to me,
Yeah,
Yeah. And I did not realize that the ancient ways were counterclockwise. That's,
yeah, the original. Yep. And I didn't know that when I built it. I just was following the guidance, and yeah. So
Yep.
when we can listen, and when we learn to listen and get ourselves out of the way, which is,
Hmm.
in this modern world, that can be very hard for a lot of people to do, to
well,
Yep.
get
it's the
yourself out of
ego.
the way.
Yeah.
It's,
And even
Ego.
as long as I've been doing that, I still can do it by myself
Yeah.
sometimes.
it's getting the ego out of the way
Ah,
as I,
Exactly.
as far as I can see it. And I still have issues with that. I'm working on that as well. And
Mhm.
well,
Same.
how dare
part
you
of
be human?
right. That's just part of my shadow work. We all have to
Mhm.
work on that shadow work, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's part of
It's
it.
yeah. My ego thing is I don't know when to let go of something, and part of manifesting and healing is to you put it out in the universe and then you let it go. You forget about it.
Yep.
But I'm a Scorpio with a
Oh, me
Leo
too.
moon and rising.
I
So
get
yeah,
it.
so I've got Scorpio and then a double fire. I overthink with ADHD brain. So I go to forget about it and I'm like, well, wait, there's more. And then it sounds like one of those commercials. Every time I'm like, okay, I'm done. Wait, there's more. Like, and I can't stop thinking, but it's all ego because it's subconsciously, even though I'm wanting to walk away from it, I still have to have control and I don't
Yeah.
want that. So I'm fighting with that shadow part of the whole ego, like enlightens me better, healing me, not healed, healing, always a process. Knows that this is what I'm supposed to do, but there's always that little bit of old habits that so that's
Well, for me, especially I'm Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun. I'm
oh my
like
goodness.
Scorpio. Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
like
you Scorpios.
um, it isn't about fighting it; it's about accepting it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. But still it's one of those I accept it, but then I start thinking about it over and
And
Mm.
over.
what
And
did we
it's
just
me.
learn, Jess? Now we both have been learning the past few months actually
Oh goodness.
surrendering it.
Surrender. 100% is
Surrender to it.
surrender.
So
Um
one of the things
yeah.
that helped me, that was given to me because I can, I get the Scorpio energy, I get the control, I get all of that. And somebody I was working with said to me, "Well, yeah, surrender isn't a good word for you." And it's like, no,
Mm-mm.
I've
No.
never been in a place where I thought that I could. I don't even know if I know how. Um,
Exactly.
and
That's
he
how I feel.
said, instead of surrender, use the word yield.
What
Yield.
were what was that?
Yield, Yield, like a yellow light.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yield
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to
instead of
stop. You
surrender.
can
And
keep
it
going,
helps.
but
It helped. It really
Yeah.
helped. So now I'm better at surrendering. It
Well,
took
and
me
and
a while to get there
surrendering
sometimes.
surrendering does not mean giving up,
No,
right. Right.
you
So
know.
I'm learning that too, because like I said, when I'm told surrender, my ego's like, one, you can't tell me what to do. That's Scorpio energy right there. You can't tell me what to do. But I know for my highest good, I need to. But again, it's like it's kind of a crisscross of all the energies. It can be really fun, but at the same time, it can almost drive you into madness.
Oh, it can.
It
Some of
really
that
can.
Scorpio energy can be very
Mhm.
intense.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
intense.
But that having that word yield instead of surrender, because it's like that way you can kind of trick your ego into you're not giving up control. You're just resting for a bit. Let the commander take over. The general can go sit down for a minute, which is nice. But I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
like
It
good.
that
helps
a lot
me.
better than surrender.
Yeah.
Well, when you come, for me, some of it was, I come from a past of abuse and some other traumas. My whole
Right.
story, could fill a
Mhm.
million books or whatever. Um, I take that as a gift, though, because it allows me to have some compassion and understanding for most of the people who come to me. So that idea of surrender was scary as hell
Mhm.
Mhm.
because I have to keep myself safe.
Right.
I have to know what's going on. I have to be in charge. I have to have control because that's how I keep myself safe. That's how you're not going to get to me again, or what, whichever one it was connected to.
Mhm.
So the idea of yield was a huge shift for me,
Mhm.
Yeah, I
rather
agree
than
with
that
that.
idea of surrender.
Yeah.
Because what has to happen for us to fully heal is we have to feel safe.
A
Mhm.
hundred
And how
percent.
many people in this world really, truly feel safe? So we have to find those places. Like you were talking, Donna, about the place that you went with the medicine wheels and all of that. You love that. You felt connected. You felt safe.
Yes.
So Heron Brook Haven is my safe space. And for me to have turned this place that I used to not want to come home to, I would come around the corner up here on the road and I was always, it would start because it's like, what am I going to run into when I get home kind of a thing. So to turn this space into a place that I didn't even want to come home to, into a place where people don't want to leave. I don't
Right.
have the words for how that makes me feel because it is a safe place. It is a haven.
Yes.
And some I've been to a couple oh healing fairs and things like that, and you go and give Reiki or readings or whatever, sell herbs, well, all of those kinds of things. And there was one day where a lot of women were just coming through, and there was just a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know how many of them cried, but it was because I would start giving them the Reiki and I would say, "You're safe." And the tears would just start coming from that word, "You're safe."
Yeah,
Mhm.
see, it started with me. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I'm
amazing, and it's
working through that.
amazing what one word um, can do. A little kid falls down and gets really hurt. They tear open their knee or whatever, and we say, "You're okay. You're okay." So you're telling that child, "You're okay. You hurt. It's okay to hurt," in
Yeah.
the child's mind. So instead of saying you're okay, say you're safe. I'm here. We'll clean it up. We'll take care of it. Don't say you're okay, because by saying okay, you're telling them that it's okay to hurt. No, hurting sucks. That's
Yeah, it does.
why nobody wants to go and heal, because hurting sucks and we don't want to go to all those emotions and
Right.
feelings.
Right.
However,
Yeah.
it's really important that we do.
Yeah.
So just changing that one word from okay to safe totally changes the whole energy of that.
Yeah. I know that when I do some meditation work with people and I go through sometimes I go through this staircase, and
Mhm.
when we're coming back down from the meditation and I'll go, you're on step 10, you are loved, you're on step 8, you are safe. You are, and I try to reincorporate with each step that you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a place of peace and you are loved. And I think that's important. And I don't think that
It's
people
big.
nowadays are, you know, that's not the normal thing. And it should be the normal thing. We should
Right.
be, making each other feel safe and loved. And
Well, I think too, with a lot of the programming, the subliminal and subconscious program that we have with the constant access and use to our social media and our phones, we see people fight and argue and say hurtful things to each other. And while it might not register to us consciously, we're just like, if you don't like a scroll on and you do, but it sets in that subconscious, and it sets your higher self was looking at it like, that's pain. That is suffering. That's, these people hurt. And then you just took that on by
Yep.
contemplating it. Um, so it does start to ingrain into your subconscious that you're not safe. You're not even safe in your own home because you've got social media strangers yelling at you, or people are coming at you, or you see something that's triggering you. So then your safe space is no longer safe. And then some people are just not in the greatest environments. For the first time in 35 years, I've almost as soon as I move it'll be better, but um almost back to a safe mindset. Um, I've come a long way, just even the past few months with the healing, and a lot of it. I think you and I have a lot of similarities, Jenna. I really do. But I think we are definitely going to have to get back to nature, and be blessed by the bees type of thing is what I keep wanting to hear. Blessed by the bees, and get back to that very simplistic spot in our psyche, um, so that we can get back to feeling safe, get back to that
mm-hmm,
core earth feeling,
Mm-hmm.
that 100% natural feeling, because earth is safe, or that's home. I mean, as long as you're not out in the jungle where you're going to get eaten by a creature, but you got to be smart too. But the point is that we need to start getting away from the techie, the today, the modern, and start going backwards. Because like you said, it's the medicine of the future, but it's always been here.
Right.
well,
Right.
you have to watch your diet. You have to
For
watch
sure.
your diet, not only your diet that you're consuming food, you have to watch your
Oh
diet
my
as to
goodness.
what you're watching, what you're associating with.
I
Um,
changed my music even. I had noticed that I was always a big fan of metal and rock, and starting with like the hair bands. And then I started noticing that, well, Def Leppard's always going to be my favorite, but I was always tense in my shoulders and in my back, and I was like, why can't I was having to get massages 2-3 times a month, and then I started noticing every time I'm listening to these bands, I tense up,
Mm.
and I'm like, this is toxic. My body is saying it's toxic. So I started listening to some playlists on Spotify for like hypnosis, subliminal messages, hypnosis, for relaxing. Is I listen to frequencies for chakras. Sometimes I have to do specific chakra frequencies. Sometimes I can do a mix, or angelic frequencies. And then in the morning I switch to um, positive affirmation music,
Mm-hmm.
and that has shifted the whole paradigm for me. Like I went from being tense all the time and angry and feeling unsafe, and here a lot of it was the music that was feeding my fear too.
and
Well,
you
and a
had
lot
said
of the
that.
music that we have nowadays is, um, what is it, honey? 440? Just a second. 440 is the common tuning, which is like concert pitch,
Right,
Mhm.
and it's not a natural tone.
right.
This is where the 432 hertz comes in too. You can find music that is made in the 432 hertz, your drums, those kinds of things.
Mm.
The like Native American flutes, if they're tuned to 432, it makes a huge difference, and that's the vibration that we're missing. That's the vibration that we're covering up with all of this tech, with all of the car sounds, with all of the music, with all, all of those things that we do to keep ourselves busy. And that's not saying that all of this tech is bad or horrible.
Mhm.
It isn't a way of life, though. It's a tool. Just
Right.
like your mind is a tool.
Exactly.
We have these things as tools. They're not a way of life. We're not meant to, when you have those vibrations, we have them in our watches, we have earbuds, we have cell phones on us all the time, we have all this stuff around us. It's so unnatural, it's so unhealthy. With all these satellites and all this stuff they're doing now, we're actually being like slowly microwaved.
Oh,
It's
for sure.
crazy.
Yeah.
And Stephen Buhner, in his Earth Grief book that he wrote before he passed, I thought he asked a very poignant question, and it was, why do we continue to do these things that harm us? He was talking about addictions, and he was talking about all these things that we're addicted to that destroy the earth, all these things that we continue to do to ourselves that aren't for us. What is it in this human condition that makes us do these things and continue to do this? And I think that's a very important question.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's convenience too. I mean, especially in America, like we like our conveniences and stuff. But I'm getting ready to build a home, and I had very, very explicitly told everyone. I said, when I move in, I said I don't want a TV, because people are like, well, what do you need? What do you want? Would you like a TV? Would you like this? I don't want a TV. I will have my laptop for the shows here. That will stay in my office. My phone will also stay in the office if I'm not using it, because I'm trying to get away from my phone.
Yeah.
And then my son, he's got a tablet, and he can keep it at my parents' house, because we'll be literally across the barnyard, so it's not like he'll be far from it. But he and I kind of went through like a mini detox about a month ago.
Mm.
We went on vacation, and we were tech free, screen free, except for like I used my phone as a camera instead of a phone, but it stayed in my pouch all the time. And we were so refreshed from that. He's 8. So, and he was even like, whoa, this is different. I'm like, let's continue with it. And within like a couple weeks, an extreme shift in his ADHD came around. Like he's a lot better. He's quieter, complacent, just
Yeah.
happy, really happy and calm. And then it went from detoxing from that to, I don't know how it happened, but all of a sudden he wants to eat vegetables and fish. He's a mac and cheese and chicken nuggets kid. But once we got off the addiction of screens and electronics and hubbub, he decided he wanted natural type food. He doesn't want to eat snack food. My mom tried to get him to eat Little Debbie's, and actually it caused kind of a fight between them yesterday, because she wanted to give him that. He didn't want it, and they kind of fought about it. But he's like, I need nourishment. And it's just the one detox has sparked a full
Yeah.
difference.
Well, it's a whole energy shift. It's all where our bodies are bombarded with all these different. It's a vibration.
Absolutely.
So we
And
have
I
all
think,
these vibrations and all this energy around us that isn't healthy, and everybody wonders, why is everybody so tired? Why is everybody so grumpy? Why? Well, what are you bombarding yourself with on a daily basis? And even for us, it's difficult. We don't, like I said, we don't have cell phones and all that kind of stuff, but it's still, it's in the air. It's all
yeah,
around us.
yeah. And kids
So
are
if you're wearing it on your body and you constantly have it, and now they're putting these things in glasses, so here it is, it's right here, so it's not healthy. And like I
no,
said, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have the tech. However, we shouldn't make it a way of life, and it's
right.
important to get back to those natural ways and those natural vibrations.
Yeah,
And I can
absolutely.
feel the difference when I leave my driveway. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
and kids are just so sensitive to it all.
Oh, they're very sensitive.
Yeah, yeah, and the more natural we can keep the kiddos, the better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm all for having, like, I don't want to say homeschool all the kids, because of course they need to be with other children, but I like having almost like the one room schoolhouse type of thought, with like just a few kids here and there, and having core groups just to have not so much exposure and craziness, so they can get back to that natural vibration of calm
There are
and
groups of parents that do that, and that's
Mhm.
part of some of these shifts and everything that's happening. These are some of the things that are going to be changing: the education system, the political
Mhm.
system, the medical system.
Yep.
It's like pick a system; they all have issues. You
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
know,
Yep.
and the more the shift happens, it's like the more that old tries to hold on. I mean, we had a conversation about control and how I can't let that go, right?
Right.
Microcosm, macrocosm, it happens on both levels. So,
Big time.
as much as it happens individually with each of us, it's happening on the whole too. So,
Mm.
um, that those all those old ways are really trying to hold on. That the patriarchal systems, and the more the feminine rises to take her place, the more they're gonna fight that. That's what's
Well,
all of these things that are happening. Um, it's and instead of fighting them and being terribly upset about them and this whole thing, it's like maybe we can start celebrating them,
Yeah.
because we can start celebrating them. We hope these shifts happen quicker. You know what? That system needs to change. This needs to
Hmm.
change. All these illusions and all this breakdowns. This is a time of illumination, and where we can dream a new dream.
Hmm.
What do you want in your dream? I don't want all this fighting and bickering and abuse. And is utopia possible? Probably not. That's not the human experience, because we do learn through those opposites. However, that divide between whether you want to call it good and bad, positive and negative, whatever terms you want to put on it, does it need to be so huge and severe? We can make it a nicer world for all of us and a safer world.
well, things used to be a whole lot better when it was a matriarchal system, and it used to be a matriarchal system, and then it became patriarchal, and that's when we started getting into more wars and all of that. So I
Hmm.
think that we are heading back to a matriarchal system, honestly.
A lot of
And
people misunderstand the matriarchal societies because of the way the patriarchal society has worked. It's all this
yes,
men in control and power and
Hmm.
all of
yes.
this,
Aggressive.
where
So.
a matriarchal society isn't the opposite of that, where it's women and doing the same thing. The matriarchal society is balance, and it's
Mhm.
connected to balancing that physical and spiritual. The guidance comes through. You're the vessel, you receive, and then
Mhm.
it's that masculine energy that shows you how to take action, right? So that's more of a matriarchal society. It's not the
Mhm.
patriarchal society where you have to do what I tell you and I'm going to, it's not the opposite where women are doing that. It's very different.
Mhm.
Right, but then it is so hard in one of our tasks, I know Jessamine's task, and probably yours too, is to help pull some of the as many people as we can out of the brainwashing and
Yep.
coming out of the matrix, coming out of everything that you've been taught ever since you were a child has been programmed into you. So coming out of the programming.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. To change all that ingrained stuff, and that's part of it. It's a big part of it, because that's where we talk about where we carry it in our blood and our bones. I mean, what happened to
Mhm.
your mother, and what happened to her mother, and what happened to your husband's mother, and what happened to her mother, and what happened to his father's mother, and what happened to your father's mother. We
All the
all carry this,
generations, I
even the
guess.
men. And our
Mhm.
mitochondrial DNA, the core of who we are, goes back through your mother's line, whether you're a man or a woman.
Yep.
So the core of who we are goes to that feminine. Think about what has happened to the feminine over generations and centuries and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Every single one of us here on this planet right now carries that within our body and being.
We do. And when we heal ourselves, we heal our ancestors and
Yes.
we heal our future,
Yep.
our children.
Yep.
I've
Absolutely.
always believed that.
Yep.
Yep. That's what I'm
Very important
trying
work.
to do.
Whether it's past life work, whether it's ancestral work, any of that, it's all hugely, hugely important.
Yep.
And that's part of what these shifts are about too, in these changing times, is to help heal that energy so it doesn't go forward with us.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And when you do start to heal yourself, and like when you can see a difference in your children, especially, I watch everything. My son is so receptive. He's your typical cancer child, like very deeply emotional. So I can almost tell how I'm healing, even ancestrally, by how he acts, because he can pick it up. Even if I'm not telling him about it, he can pick it up.
Yeah.
So like if it's just an energy thing to where it's making a difference for him, then it's going to heal his line. So like but it's one of those, when you help yourself, you help others,
Yes.
but because you can't pour from an empty cup. But it's amazing what can be done, past, present, and future, with just a slight shift in thinking and,
Yep.
and healing. And
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
yeah, it's magic. It's real magic and mysticism at its
Oh yeah.
core. That's what it is.
It's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it? I love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, I
And
love
I
it.
love walking this path because, I've been at it for 20 whatever years,
Mhm.
and I can still be awed by it every day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the magic and the mysticism and the synchronicities, and um,
Oh yeah.
it's amazing, amazing, and how it can still touch you when you've been at it for a long time or whatever, or
Mhm.
when you're helping somebody heal and you see the aha or the change or the shift in their energy, or when you take all the sludge out of them and then they're like a totally different person, whatever it is. It's just amazing to be able to do this stuff.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It really is. And to feel like you've been chosen to do that too. Excuse me, because like we're a part of the wave that came to Earth, but now we're a part of the wave that is waking up and shifting. And but to feel like you've been chosen to do that, and then Raven and I were talking
You
about this
haven't been
today.
chosen to do that. You
Yeah,
chose to do that. That's why you came here.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's a
absolutely. And,
difference.
and Raven and I were talking a couple weeks ago about how all of us light workers are just happening to find each other, and we're just happening to like start networking, and it's like all of a sudden I know this one person and they know 10 people, they know, and then those 10 people know another 500, but we're all finding each other, we're coming together as a family because it's time to get
Because we
things.
are a soul family.
Yeah, we're that soul family.
And
But
we
it's
have
time to,
asked to be here on this
yeah,
earth at this pivotal time.
absolutely.
That's
So
why we came.
Yes, that's exactly why we came here.
yep,
And
we
then
definitely
sometimes it's like, oh my God, Jana, what did you sign up for?
never
And then
ever
other
say
times
you're
it's like, oh
poor
my gosh,
ever.
this is so cool. Let's have more of this.
Oh, I don't know. My archangel or my guides and my angels, they go, oh, Lord.
Oh, that's
There she
mine.
goes
Yeah,
again.
poor Jeremiel. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he
Yep.
shakes his head at night. He probably is like, oh, thank God she's asleep. I can't do this anymore. Like, not until tomorrow. Bless his heart.
Mine's going, if I smoked, I would.
Oh, it can be pretty
Absolutely,
crazy sometimes, but it's also very awesome and amazing.
it
And
is.
I do love being able to help people, and I love being able to help the bees and the bugs and the
Hmm.
water. And,
Yep.
and I think a little while ago, Jess, I think you brought up a very important point about the simplistic,
Yeah.
and it is about keeping things very simple. Even your ceremonies, light a
Yeah.
candle. You
Hmm.
don't need all of this. You don't need it, and it's been some of the spiritual awakening that happened years ago and stuff, it was all about, putting on the big show and being the glitz and the glam and all of that. And that's not necessary. It's actually overkill, and it can dampen the energy that you're actually trying to create. And when we think of the ancient traditions and how things have come down, granted, we understand some of the energies and how the earth and the moon, and, we've got this big eclipse coming up. Maybe 20,000 years ago, they didn't know that it was an eclipse. Who knows? Right. There were people who did, though. When we look at some of the Mayan civilizations and stuff, their calendars have been around for a very, very long time, and they knew all these things.
They have more knowledge of the skies than we do now.
Even with all our tech and science. Exactly. But and that's because they don't have anything to interfere with that. I had a time on my journey where all of my tools got destroyed. One got burnt. One, my granddaughter dumped ketchup all over. It was a beautiful feather that I loved. It was just every single thing that I had that I was using for ceremony and jewelry got destroyed in one way or another. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And then, the guidance came through and all of that. And it was about, you don't need all that. You're the magic. You're the tool.
Yep.
So the less distraction that we have, the better it is, the more we can connect.
If we only knew how powerful we really were.
It's okay to have a little bit, but we don't need, my temple is that circle of life outside that Tim and I built here, and it's not this fancy place. It's a stone wall built with stones and cedar from this land, and it contains bits and pieces and bones from a lot of our journeys and things like that we've had here, and it's just amazing, and it's beautiful, and I absolutely love it. And there's no gold. There's maybe a little bit, a couple shiny gemstones in there when the sun hits them or whatever, but it's simple and it's basic. And that allows us to remember who we really are when we're not trying to cover it with all this other stuff or be something that we're not. Because you can say all you want to say. You can throw on whatever clothes you want to throw on. Spirit, Mother Earth, Father Sky, all of it knows what's in your heart and feels your energy. You can set all the intent that you want, but if you don't have it in here, if you're not connected and you're not really doing that work, it's not as powerful.
That's true. And if we only knew how powerful we really are.
Oh, it's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing. And it's scary.
Well, actually, with the programming and everything, they don't want us to know how powerful we really are.
I actually had this discussion night before last with a girl on one of my witchy groups on Facebook. She had posted that she had left a candle burning. She fell asleep. Her boyfriend blew it out. And she's like, well, what will that do with my spell? And I said, the only thing it did do was not allow your house to burn down. Your boyfriend saved you, is what I said. I said, when it comes down to it, she's like, well, can you explain that to me? I said, okay, so think of it. Your spell, your intention, that's the recipe that you want to make. Okay, you are the chef extraordinaire. The ingredients are already inside you, that you've already got it moving. You're thinking, you're putting it out there. That candle is just the spatula that you can stir it with. That's it. The candle is just a tool. It's something to set the mood. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh my gosh. I said, when you're sitting there and you're staring into the flame, I said that the flame is that primordial feeling of, the ancient fire. Our ancestors used it to concentrate into, they danced around it, they lived around it. That's what the fire does to us. It brings out that primal urge and primal magic that we know is in us, and it gets that going, but it's already inside you. You're already putting it out in the universe. And I told her, I said, if you were in the middle of a spell and you fell asleep, it's because your job was done. It was out there. And you're just lucky you had somebody that was able to blow it out before the apartment caught on fire.
Well, or maybe she needed to get out of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm like, if you were relaxed enough to fall asleep, then
Right.
your job was done.
Mm-hmm.
You're good to go.
And you needed
And
to let that go.
yeah, yep, absolutely. And like it trickled down to all like there were hundreds of people, you know, mostly girls. But a lot of these girls are learning off of TikTok. And everybody's like, well, you can't blow it out, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and it's got to be this kind of candle. And I'm like, back in my day, you know, before we even had stores where you could buy things regarding all of this, we had to use birthday candles. Or we would have a tea light candle and we would shave Crayola crayons into it so that we would have the colors.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we kind of learned the nitty gritty, you know, in small town, Hunter Town, Indiana. And now, you know, it took a long time, but you know, once I realized it's like I don't need that. I can still stir the mixture with my hands if I want to. I don't need that candle spatula like I told her. I'm like it's just a tool. You don't have to have it. It
Yeah.
just sets the mood. You know,
Yeah.
brings it out a little bit, but
Well, and it
you
can give us a focus point. I mean, I understand
yeah,
that, you know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's the idea of keeping it simple, you know,
Simple.
and
Yep.
a stick that you go pick up out in the woods is a magic wand.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And, you know, the stones that
Yep.
are out here in this wall are just as powerful and magical as any gemstone I can walk into any store and
Mm-hmm.
buy.
Yeah.
You
My
know, some of
son
them are
has
more powerful. You know, they all hold the history and stories of the earth. The stones are the oldest beings.
oh
You
yeah.
know,
100%.
so
Yeah, my son goes out into the woods, and every time he goes out to play, he brings back sticks because they're either wands or stabs.
yeah,
I have a stick on my one wall directly across from me that he brought in from the woods one day. Just drug it in because he thought it was pretty. Well, then it's magic.
yeah.
So then it's just earth, and it's wonderful, beautiful. It's
I actually have a stick on my altar and it is my wand. It's just,
mm-hmm,
I found it one day and I knew it was my wand and
right.
it's just a stick.
Yep. And there's
And that's
something about
originally and still how it works. The
yeah,
things that are the medicine
Yep.
that
yep,
is meant to find us does.
yep.
We
Yes.
don't have to go out
Feathers,
and buy
stones,
it all. I mean, granted, if you're at a store and you're like, oh my God, I know
right.
that's meant for me, or, you know,
Yes.
you know, I'm not saying that, but most of the stuff that we need will find its way to us. We don't have to run around and buy it. We don't have to, um, you know, promote the idea that we need these things to be the powerful beings that we are.
Mhm.
Right.
And the other side of it is not a lot of people necessarily. It's interesting that a lot of people choose what we call a shamanic path.
Mhm.
It's not something that you choose
Mm-mm.
It's a
because
calling.
it's hard.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take if you're doing it, I don't want to say correctly, if you're honoring it, respecting it, and keeping it the sacred
Mhm.
piece that it is, it's not a joke. It doesn't make it okay for you to do whatever you want to do with it because you put an IC behind the word, or you know, it's all these modern things
Right.
that we do, and it's very humbling. It's very scary.
Mhm.
It's daunting. It's a lot of work, and it isn't something that you choose. Actually, it's something you get dragged into
Yep.
kicking.
Yep. Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh my
And
goodness.
I have found that, well, when I studied under the medicine men, we did not use the word shaman
Mhm.
Yes,
because they had told me that they feel that word has been desecrated, so they use the word medicine. But it doesn't matter what word you use, it's all the same. And I stepped off of my path for a few years, but I just veered off to another path. Honestly, I was still there, and my totems came to me. It's just whether or not I chose to acknowledge them or not. Um, my spirit guide still spoke to me. It is whether I chose to listen or not,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Jenna. It's like yanking you by the hair because, once you go off, they go, no,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
you
Exactly.
can go
Sometimes
this
those
way
detours
for a
are
little
part of our
while.
path.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Those detours can be part of our path because they can show us something that maybe we need to learn. Or, there's times that I've tried to step back. And it's interesting because then when you step back to it, get pushed back to it, whatever you want to say, um, it has shifted and it has changed. And so have you. So the way you approach it and work with it changes. And the more you continue to follow along,
Mm-hmm.
the more you open up to it. And the other reality is we all have our own power, our own
Mhm.
gifts in one way or another. And it's about being willing to learn what that
Mhm.
is and what it's meant to be for you. I have people who ask me all the time, well, who are you and what do you do? I say, well, my name's Jana and I live at Heron Brook Haven and there's a lot of things I do.
Yeah.
I don't want to label myself because that limits us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, that's kind of how I'm being a little bit of a rebel too. You
Mhm.
know, the word shaman came from only a certain region. And a lot of the Native American tribes, it was the medicine women who were the healers and all of this. It was the clan mothers, all of that. But then when people started coming, when the Europeans came here, they didn't want to talk to the women because the patriarchal system was already in over there.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So the women's mysteries, the women's medicine, and all of that gets pushed to the side.
Well, now there are Celtic shamans, there are
They're Norse
It's a word
shamans.
that's been taken on
shamans,
worldwide.
and I have to say that you are right. Coming back on my path now is totally different than what it was,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
still kind of my basics are still the same. They're still, shall we say, shamanic in nature. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think that's always been a part of who I am ever since I was young.
Yep.
Um, but we evolve and we change with the times, and I needed
Right.
to go on that detour so that I could learn some other things and
Mm-hmm.
come back
Yeah.
on this path just a little bit different because spirit has a different task for me now. I've grown.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I went through a very, very rough, rude awakening. Oh my goodness, back in November. Um and I think it was universe and source, guardian angels, guides, all of them, are you finally listening?
Yeah.
Yes. And then they're like, okay, did you die? No. Let's go. Like, and so it's been a wild ride, but yes, again, like you ladies, it's pulled by my hair, kicking and screaming a couple times, but I am so different than who I was a few months ago. Like I was always very, very spiritual, and I could always, work the magic, and I was always very in tune with the earth, but I was missing something. But that something hit at the right time, and it took a real doozy of a thing to make it happen. But everything is
Yep.
so much better.
And
Uh,
as time unfolds, you'll notice more and more and more coming together from that.
yeah,
Some of the work that I did years ago has guided me.
yeah.
Some of my dreams and visions and stuff from years ago,
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago,
Mhm.
still guide me, and they help me find my way. And, this part of this modern world is we want everything right now.
Mhm.
Right.
This instant gratification, and Yes, have a healing session, a counseling session, a reading, where spirit's going to knock you down, whatever it is. However, when we learn to work with that in positive, fulfilling ways, um, it continues to guide and teach us. So the work that I did 2 to 5 years ago is really coming to fruition now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not instant gratification. That's
No.
commitment. That's doing the work. That's showing up every day, following the signs, trusting what comes through, relearning to trust myself again on a different level. There's so many pieces that go into this depending on what your path is.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people will say, well, you have to pick one path and follow that. And I could never do that.
No.
I
No, you don't have
love so many different cultures and so many different things. And, that's part of that rainbow bridge is
Yeah.
all of these pieces coming together.
Well, I love studying different spiritualities, and I like studying Buddhism. I like studying, the Celts. I like studying the Norse. I mean, I
Oh,
like
yeah.
studying it all. I like finding out about it all. And within all of it are the same basic truths.
Yes.
And every single one of those, the origins and foundations of those, come from a time when you didn't say, hey, Joe, guess what I just found out? Or you couldn't type it on your social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the core of every single one of those is the same. So what does that tell you? And it's all earth, pagan,
Yes.
indigenous
Yes.
based.
Yep.
Yes.
Whatever words you want
Because
to put onto that as well.
even studying under 3 different medicine men
Yep.
from 3 different tribes, the ceremonies were different, but the the
The
whole idea
basis.
was
Yep.
the same,
Yep.
so
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
it's all the same. It's
Yep.
all one.
Yep.
It's the oneness, and then
It's
we need
packaged a little different, or the
Yeah.
way you get there is a little different. But like I said, the foundation and the basis of them all is the same.
Right.
And we can go back 50, 60, 70, 100,000 years, and it's still the same today. So what does that tell you about it?
right?
She's consistent.
Yeah.
The earth
Really,
is
it's
consistent.
enduring, it's lasting, it's the natural laws, the cosmic truths, whatever, we have all these words that we can put onto it, but um, it is all connected, and it all, like I said, came from a time when they couldn't um, call each other on the phone or even write a letter, and
Yeah.
yet that's the foundation of every single one of these teachings,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and it's still the foundation today.
It is, and a lot of people call it new age, and there's nothing new about it.
No. It's
Well, some of the new
new
age stuff
wave.
was worked in, and it was wonderful because it created a bit of an awakening again.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing
True.
it in respectful ways and going back to the foundations and getting your foundations into place first, uh, great. Some of the new age stuff does lack some of the foundations, not all of it.
Mhm.
And that's where some of those new agey terms came in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
However, that doesn't mean that it wasn't an important part of this whole awakening process.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So, Jenna, what advice or lesson or anything that you would like to leave our viewers with today? And I would also, again, love to thank our viewers. We love you. I know you didn't ask any questions, but we still love the fact that you're there viewing us.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
Your
Jenna,
support is everything.
yes, it is. Jenna, what would you like to leave us with today?
Oh, goodness. Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me to be on your show. And, you know, these times that we're in are kind of crazy, and it's probably going to get crazier. Um, and if we can stay out of fear, because when you look at the way things are written, when you look at the way people talk, speak about things, it's all very, very fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And the way to help you do that really is to take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
to take care of your core wounds, your triggers, all of that. Find somebody that you do trust. Find a place where you can feel safe, to take care of those things. Learn to trust yourself. Learn to follow the signs and listen to the guidance. Be empowered. Like I said, empowered in your heart and soul inside of yourself is so important. And we're not taught to do that anymore. So it's important for people like us to help people do that. And the more that people can do that, the more these changes will, um, I don't know if I want to say quicker, or it'll be less traumatic and less stressful, maybe, if we
Mm-hmm.
can all. And it isn't just about raising the vibration, because that isn't the only answer. There's a lot of pieces to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it isn't about being selfish and arrogant. There's a difference between humble pride and arrogant pride.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And your cup has to be overflowing, and you serve from the overflow. Because
Mm-hmm.
if your cup is only half full or isn't full, what you're offering isn't full. It isn't full of you. It isn't full of the gifts that you have. So keep your cup overflowing.
Mm-hmm. Got to be a humble bee. Thought about
Yes.
that. Humble bee. Yeah, instead of a
We need to
bumblebee. Like,
remember how to be humble, how to get down on our knees, and how to serve.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know, many of the leaders and many of those speaking the loudest really don't have any idea what being of service is. And
That's
we're here to
true.
serve life. We're here to serve each other. We're here to serve all our relations. We're here to serve Great Spirit. Um, and we need to remember what that means. And we
Awesome.
can. We can.
We can. And
Yes,
we
we
look
can. We can
forward.
celebrate it. We can
We're
celebrate it
gonna
all.
we're gonna have to all go to your website, and we're going to have to find out about the bee beds.
I'm
Yes.
excited about that.
Called the B cup.
Yes.
It's
So,
wonderful. And
and
it's
I have
actually another one of those things that's very old.
that is so
I'm
awesome.
excited. This is so
Well,
neat.
Jenna, we love, honor, and respect you, and we hope that you will come on our show more often because
Please,
you
yes.
are just an awesome soul and you have so much to give to others. And we thank you so much for all that you do.
Well, thank you for all you do. Thank you for having me, and thank you for saying that.
And to our audience, we bid you good night. Jesse, do you have any
Any parting words?
words?
It just I'm gonna kind of go along with that humility thing. Become the instead of the bumblebee, be the humble bee, and
I like that.
take care of everything that's around you.
Mhm.
Realize the vibrations that are around you. Try and heal what you can just by altering your piece a little bit. Just take on a little piece, and you can make waves with that. So I hope you
Beautiful.
all have a really, really good couple of weeks until we see you again. It was good to see everybody participate today. I loved it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. And we will bid you good night.
Good night.